morning, everyone. I'd like to call the Tuesday, August 9th, 2022 meeting to order at 9 a.m. And let me see. Will everyone join me in saying the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, I'd like to open the public forum and welcome the members of the public who have taken, I forgot the roll. Okay. So, yeah.
Okay. Director Balin.
Here.
Director Boatwright.
Here.
Director Kearns.
Here.
Director Murphy.
Here.
Director Ringen.
Here.
Okay, all 5 directors are present.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So I'll open up the public forum again and welcome all members of the public who have taken the time to attend this meeting and provide comments on matters related to the district business. Any member of the public may wish to address the board and to any matter relating to the board within the board's jurisdiction. This need not be related to any item on the agenda. However, the board cannot act on an item unless it was noticed on the agenda. Person speaking during the public comment will be limited to 5 minutes, or depending on the number of persons wishing to speak, it may be reduced to allow all members of the public the opportunity to address the board. So at this time, I'd like to welcome any members of the audience, either here or virtually. And is there anyone who would like to address the board at this time? Okay, seeing none. Corey, is there any member of the public? Okay, then I'll close the public comment period and we will move to consent calendar. And Melissa, will you please read those 2 items?
Okay, item number 1, minutes of the regular board meeting of July 26, 2022. And item number 2, approval of reimbursement claims for director's statement of meetings attended and or travel expenses and claim summary for July 2022.
Thank you. Is there any member of the board that would like to pull either one or both of those items? Yes, all right.
I'd like to pull the claim summary.
The claim summary, okay.
Director Murphy also has to read that.
Okay, Director Murphy?
You're muted.
I'd like to pull the monthly reimbursements.
Okay, so there's 2 of you that would like to discuss that. Okay, so with that, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Melissa, will you please call the roll for that?
Okay, Director Kearns.
Here.
Director.
Yes,
I'm
here.
Still here. Director Ringen.
Yes.
Director Murphy.
She's laughing.
Okay, we'll go right back.
Yes,
Director Ringen.
Aye.
Director Boatwright.
Aye.
And then Director Murphy on the minutes.
Can you guys not hear me? I responded a couple of times.
You're lagging pretty bad at times.
Okay, let me quickly try the other internet connection. Is that any better? No.
So far, try it out. Not too bad.
Okay. I have a third option. So I have a hotspot as well. So I'll try that if this is not working.
We need your vote.
What's that?
We need your vote.
Okay. Yeah, I've said I about 6 times.
Thank you very much.
Okay, motion passes for the minutes. Okay, so now we'll move on to the approval of the reimbursement, and Director Ring, and I think you was the first, and then Director Murphy.
Well, mine's the claim summary itself for July. And although I had numerous questions, I narrowed it down to 3. On page 3, Bank of America, the very top check says employee retirement supplies. What in the world is that?
Page 3.
Oh, that was a cake.
Okay.
That was a cake?
That was a cake
Okay.
for a retiree.
Then on page 8, Dark Trace Holdings. What in the world is that?
Darktrace is a new cybersecurity platform software we're using.
Oh, okay, great. Just had a strange name to it.
That's not new.
And it looked pretty darn expensive too. And then finally on page 15, I guess this would go to Eric probably. It's Jamestown Sanitary District, Carly Lane Rehab Split. What is that?
So they redid the road they did the whole road basically down to Jamestown, and we agreed to split the cost of it as much as we use it going forward.
You're talking about going out to the courts.
Yes, so they did that, they paved the new approach, they cleaned all the cattle guards out so the drainage would get better, and then we gravelled the whole road.
Okay, all right, thank you very much for that, that's all I got.
Okay, thank you. Director Murphy, go ahead, please.
Yeah, mine is just a clarification. Can you hear me well enough?
Yes.
Okay, great. And it's on the director's reimbursements. So when does the fiscal year begin and end?
Fiscal year end is June 30th. So
June 30th.
that's why there's a big trigger here. This just shows the 1 month.
Okay, and so I understand that as far as when we turn things in affects things, but does this, when it gets charged, does it go out of, and this is a great question for you, Steve, does it go out of last year's fiscal budget, or does it go out of this year's fiscal budget? I'm just curious about these things, and then that's it.
Yeah, part of the year-end closing will be to determine each expenditure, whether it's related to fiscal year 22 or 23. So for any of the ones that were turned in late, they will be recorded as part of last year's budget.
Okay, good. I was just double checking that. All right, thank you. That was it.
Okay, yeah, those were good questions. Yeah.
Just,
go ahead, Steve.
I'd like to take this opportunity for everyone here. You know, we've always been pretty lax with this, but pursuant to the board policy and basic internal controls in the county, time reports are required to be turned in within 15 days after month end. So, you know, I know we've gone in spurts where you turn in a whole bunch of them. Arbor's done that. Director Murphy, I know you're new on this. But we would very much appreciate it if you could turn them in right after the end of the month. I mean, that's what the board policy is. Same sort of thing when you go on travel. You know, ideally within a couple of days coming back, or certainly in the next meeting, if you could turn in your reimbursable expenses. It looks a lot better to the auditors. It's easier for us and the accounting and everything else. So appreciate it.
Point well taken. Okay, if there's no further questions on the reimbursement and claims, is there any member of the public wish to comment on this? Okay, seeing none, I'll bring it back for a motion in a second.
I'll make a motion to accept the claims
Okay,
summary.
I'll second.
second, all righty, any further discussion? Hearing none, Melissa, please call for the vote.
Okay, Director Rainin,
Yes.
Director Kearns,
Aye.
Director Murphy,
Aye.
Director Boatright,
Aye.
Director Balin.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 5-0.
Okay, thank you. All right, on to regular business, and Melissa, will you please read our first item, and I think we have 2 recusals. So we will pass the gavel to Director Raymond. We should just go ahead and recuse ourselves now.
And recusing myself.
Okay.
Okay, directors, Eric Johnson, district engineer, is out on vacation. And so we have Antonio Ramirez here to do his presentation on this item. Can you just introduce? Oh, yeah. Sorry. Did you already introduce? Yeah.
Okay, item number 3, consider approval of agreement regarding water main extension to serve a tribal fire station on Nelson Road in the community of Jamestown, Chicken Ranch Rancheria of Miwok Indians of California.
All right, I am Antonio Ramirez. I provide customer service to the district's engineering department. Good morning, everyone. The item I have before you today is a standard developer agreement to extend a public water main to a tribal fire station on Nelson Road. The Chicken Ranch Rancheria of Miwok Indians of California own a parcel of land on Nelson Road, and they intend to build a tribal fire station. In order to serve the project, they need to extend a public water main approximately about 755 feet from the existing public water main that the district currently operates and maintains in the Chicken Ranch Road right away. It's a fairly standard developer agreement, fairly simple project. The agreement has all the standard provisions for which the developer needs to follow, including things that list things such as hiring a proper licensed and insured contractor, that they would submit engineer drawings, that they would grant the pipeline over to us when completed. It also lists the capacity fees and other minor items that they need to follow through with in order to pursue this project. I have generally seen some plans for the project. They pretty much look like the exhibit map, just extending the main right down the right of way. I didn't notice anything controversial, no easements are required. That's pretty much all I have. So if you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
I don't have any questions.
All right.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you. Go ahead.
This project will be done by outside contractors, not
Yes.
TUD crews?
Yes.
Okay, and it meets all the normal, what I'm reading here, it says it meets all the normal regulations, water
Yes.
rules and regs.
Yes, yeah, this is actually a perfect example of what a standard developer agreement water main extension is. It's like a good sample, actually. So yes, there's nothing controversial about it, very straightforward.
And will we be able to move fire flow water that far down in the system?
Yeah, there's great pressure there, large diameter pipelines. I don't know what their fire flow requirements are, but presumably it's going to be an 8-inch main. So it's the developer's responsibility to ensure that whatever they're putting in is going to meet their fire flow demands. And until they give us those numbers, we won't know for sure. But yeah.
Antonio, can you tell us about the SFRs?
Yeah, so the ESFR stands for Equivalent Single Family Residence. And an ESFR is also equivalent to 264 gallons a day. That's essentially what a single family home does. When I calculated the capacity fees listed in the developer agreement were based upon conversations I've had with their engineer and what they understand the occupancy will be for the fire station. We don't have fire stations listed in our demand factor tables in our water rules specifically. So when you don't have that, you try to find the best information you can to base the fees upon. So I looked at Sonora City's fire department, looked at their consumption. It's going to be, that's a much, wouldn't say much larger, but a larger facility. And they were pretty much right about, in terms of consumption, equivalent to one single family residence in terms of water usage. So and that's more or less our minimum, what we can charge for a connection. So the consumption of Sonora Fire Department is pretty much the same as what I base these fees on.
Once the project is complete, then TUD assumes ownership and maintenance and
Correct.
and upkeep.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Director Murphy does have her hand up for a question.
Go ahead.
I have just a bunch of sort of for my edification. So when I'm looking at this, right, it looks like everything around in that area is off of everything else is off of well water. Is that accurate?
Yeah, you'll see on the exhibit map, there's several sort of hexagon shapes in there, and those are all properties that have wells.
As does the fire station, has a little existing well on the corner of its property. So when we're looking at this, we look at it as the daily use for the fire station. And that's the single family equivalent, right? Because they've got the toilets, kitchen, basically that kind of stuff. It's something that I know that we provide fire water, across the county. I just don't quite understand how it works. So I thought I'd take this opportunity to ask on that. So this water main also will deliver, all of our water mains, right, deliver to fire hydrants, accurate?
Yes, wherever there's a hydrant and connected to a TUD water main, it is available for emergency fire use. Yes.
Excellent. Okay, so on this, with, let's say, the Sonora Fire Station, do we see trucks? Do trucks get filled up at the fire stations, or they're more out there filling up at the hydrant? Do we see more usage from hydrants, or do we see more usage from the fire stations?
So I asked that question. The fire trucks generally don't fill up at the station. They usually do it throughout the distribution system. In particular, like the large water tender trucks, which is where you see most of the water being filled from or to. So it's the facility wouldn't be a water filling station here.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. Excellent. I just wanted a couple of clarifications, and then the understanding, right? They're putting in the water main. They'll take on the expenses for that. They turn it over to TUD. We take on the maintenance of it.
Correct.
And incorporate it into the system.
Right.
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, do we have any further questions? No, okay, how about from our audience? Nope, okay, then I would be looking for a motion on this item.
Mr. Vice President, I would like to make the motion. Let me get back up here to it. Okay, there it is. I make a motion that the Board of Directors by motion authorize the General Manager to execute the agreement regarding a water main extension to serve the tribal fire station on Nelson Road in the community of Jamestown, Chicken Ranch, Rancheria of the Miwok Indian tribes, Indians of California.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a second? No, I'll second it. Is there any further comments or anything? And we'll go ahead and have our vote.
Director Murphy has her hand up.
Go ahead.
Sorry. I just have one more question about logistics on this. I know that, right, this water main would make it possible for if anybody in that area chose to hook up to the TUD system rather than, or in addition to using the well, they would have the opportunity from that water main?
Correct. Yes, if you look on the exhibit map, there are a couple parcels at the bottom of the page to the south that if they wanted water service, they could extend this main to their nearest property corner and get service from us. They would have to do the exact same process though, but yes, it could potentially serve more people.
Okay, very good. Just double checking. And we have capacity for that. We're not, there's, when that comes up, we have capacity to add on more at that water main, right? The sizing and everything works for that.
Correct. I mean, for single family homes, yes, at some point, there's always a capacity question that needs to be answered depending upon the size of the development board. But for the residential properties here, yes.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
So, Melissa, would you please do the vote?
Okay. Director Boatright?
Aye.
Director Ringen?
Yes.
Director Murphy?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 3-0 with Director Balin and Director Kearns recused.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Stephanie?
Okay, then we will move on to item 4. Melissa, will you please read item 4?
Okay, consider authorizing the board president to sign and send the Tuolumne Utilities District response to the 2020-2022 grand jury report.
Hey, good morning, President Balin and directors. As you know, about a year ago or so, we were notified, or at least I was notified, that we were going to be under a grand jury investigation this year. And in fact, we were over the next many, many months, off and on, at least, I know I was not interrogated, but pulled into question, as were some other directors, possibly another staff members here. Well, in May, we got our report from them. It stated that within 90 days, the board president and the board shall respond back to the findings and recommendations. I took the time to share with staff, managers, and sought their input on what some of the responses to the findings and recommendations would be from a staff standpoint. I shared those with President Balin and staff, Abby and Emily, worked hard to craft this response. It was reviewed by Jesse as well. Went back and forth a little bit between all of us. So finally we have a response back to the grand jury. You've had it now, you've had an opportunity to read it, so we're all here to answer any more questions you might have. Do you have anything to add?
No, I have nothing to add, but I see Director Ringen's hand is up.
So, I read through that response, and I really have to compliment everybody that's involved in it. This is night and day better than the one that went out under Patterson and Rucker. That was an insult really to the grand jury that this is really well done, really well done. So, anyway, thank you for that.
Okay, Director Murphy.
Yeah, I'd just like to say thank you, everybody, for your time and input on that. I agree with Director Ringen that this, I feel like it's a respectful answer to the grand jury. But I do have a question because I don't understand one of the points in here. And so I'd just like to understand it better. And that's the F3.3. And so if we can just take a moment to look at that. And I don't actually understand what our response is to that. So the part that when it gets to if the revenue streams increase in number or scope, then more opportunities can be realized. TUD seeks to enhance its staff by acquiring an interdisciplinary team to carry out and seek funding for these opportunities in a meaningful way. And I just, one, I don't understand what the meaningful way part is. I don't understand the interdisciplinary team. And I'm curious how what the plan is for this before we send this letter in. I'd like to know what we're talking about.
Okay, could you please tell me, I mean, I'm familiar with the language, which page you're reading from, just so I have it in front of me?
Yeah. So in the agenda, it's page 64.
Okay, 64, great, thank you. 64, I'm getting there, okay.
She's freezing up again.
What, okay. So, this is in response, we worked really hard on, like you had, observed, not being, defensive in our language, but actually seriously considering what the grand jury was saying. And the grand jury was, saying that it would be good if we took opportunities to look at other aspects of TUD that were, community-based, such as wildlife and recreation. So in their title, Water is Life, and in their cover summary, they would like us, they encouraged us, what?
Director Murphy's dropped off.
Director
Oh, all
Murphy
right.
she dropped off.
Yeah.
I'd just like to say that President Bellevue and
Okay, sure. Is it okay if Director Murphy responds, or this is just response to my phone? Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay.
Can you hear us, Director Murphy?
I can, thank you.
Okay, great. All right, so this sentence is in response to the grand jury noticing that our Phoenix Lake preservation and restoration was not as complete as the planning document had regarding public access. And it was also in response to their mentioning that we are, it would be great if we took more opportunities to do these public enhancement things. So that's what this is in response to. Meaningful, the word meaningful is, means that it's not just token, that there's, let's say, a sincere effort to look for grants that would complete that project.
She just logged back in. It was giving an echo because her computer logged back in your speaker on your phone.
I'm going to leave the video off just because I think that will help. So I got that meaningful, we're just trying to say that we're taking this seriously. The piece that I don't understand is what we're doing. So what's the interdisciplinary team?
So it would be, okay, I'll just use the Phoenix Lake because that seems to be the poster child and that seems to be what the community around Phoenix Lake, the history of that is that they're in, I think, 2002, they had a group of citizens that had a Phoenix Lake task force, and they identified problems with Phoenix Lake, which there were engineering problems. We were losing capacity, so there was a need for capacity enhancements. There was lake access for the public, which used to be there. So that was a social concern. Then there were environmental concerns. So an interdisciplinary team is in a way part of what did happen at Phoenix Lake, which is they met with the public. There is an overlay of Fish and Wildlife Services on there. And it looks like we're being encouraged to seek grants to look at public access points. So it's not just an engineering look for capacity enhancements, but it involves the three economic, social, and environmental approach. So that would be an interdisciplinary approach.
So on it, it says that TUD is creating an interdisciplinary, I mean, the way it's written, it looks like TUD is creating an interdisciplinary team within TUD. Is that not what we're saying?
We are not saying that. We are saying the board recognizes the need.
There might be a need for I understand in writing documents, right? You get used to the language you're using and the way that you're presenting it and stuff. And if you already know what you're trying to say, when you proofread, sometimes when you don't notice it's more meaningful to you than to somebody who hasn't read it before. So as somebody who hadn't read it before, the way that is written, I read it as that's something TUD seeks to, I'm just gonna read it out loud one more time. TUD seeks to enhance its staff by acquiring an interdisciplinary team. That, to me, that sounds like we're hiring more people and creating something within the staff of TUD with the way that that's written. So if that's not what we're doing, if we are trying to collaborate with other agencies and community members and stuff like that to create that disciplinary team, I think that maybe it would be worth clarifying that.
I feel it is clarified on page 9 of the document. You know, when we hire consultants like Amy Augustine, that is that consideration of those other elements. So I feel Jesse going over this and really looking at, you know, playing it back and forth. He was very involved in editing this language so that it could go out to public and not be misleading or defensive. So I feel okay about the language.
Yeah, I guess I feel like the board should have actually been involved in that process more than just the president of the board. So these things could have been brought up before we're putting it forward to just approve it. Because to me, that sentence really does say that TUD seeks to enhance its staff by acquiring an interdisciplinary team.
So every time, here's a great example. When Lisa Westbrook left, okay, the staff takes a lot of time looking at the direction and the evolution of TUD, where they're going, what they need to do. We've changed, you know, elements in certain job descriptions for more variety of folks that can add a more disciplinary approach. The person that was before Antonio was really specific, and Antonio has brought more, would you say, of you know, just more generalist approach to these things, so we have that built-in flexibility in the team. So, you know, that I hear what you're saying. And I had long talks with our legal counsel. And they were very clear, the grand jury was very clear that this document be started or at least crafted by the board president or any agency's chair. So that was, we are honoring the grand jury, and we're not obligating ourselves to anything in this. We're taking what they're saying seriously. Did you read the grand jury report?
I did when it first came out, but I didn't reread it last night. But on this, that it's not what I'm not arguing that we shouldn't. Okay, so as I started out with, that I appreciate all the work that went into this. I think that it's a respectful document to the grand jury. I do think it is anything that we write in here that we say we're going to do, we need to be doing, because we can't just say that we're gonna, you take things into consideration. We actually are moving forward with their considerations in mind. So the worry that I have is that the way that this sentence specifically is written, when I asked you to explain it, how you explained it sounds great. What's written in here, TUD seeks to enhance its staff by acquiring an interdisciplinary team, doesn't accurately describe what you said we are doing. And I do think that by putting this in writing and sending it to the grand jury, we are committing to upholding the things that we're telling them what we're going to do. I do believe it's a commitment that we have there, not only with the grand jury, but with the public. And so I think that I understand all that you're saying about the work that went into this, and that in the end, it's your signature on it. But it is something that the board is being asked to approve, and you know, it would have been nice to be able to give this feedback as it was being written. That I think that sentence particularly, and out of a 9-page document, one sentence I get isn't much. But that was one that made it look to me like TUD is hiring a bunch of people at the expense of the ratepayers to be this disciplinary team. And so if that's not what it is, I think it would be worthwhile to clarify that. That's my 2 cents. So thank you for hearing me. I appreciate you listening to what I have.
Thank you. Yes, Director
I have
Bowler.
questions. First up, thank you for, preparing this and going through it. My first question is TUD required to respond to the grand jury?
Yes.
To form a legal response? Now, is this letter actually binding to TUD, obligated to fulfill any of the, statements within the letter?
That we were very careful in this letter not to commit to any, but to recognize that they felt as a citizen volunteer group that they did the best they can to sort stuff out. We got a commendation when they, dug into our workings. So we were very careful to not make any commitments in this document, but to recognize that we are paying attention, and we will seriously look at their concerns as we move forward, as we evolve. So that's the way, the intent of this document. So we did not, it's not binding, if that's what your question is. Everybody's gonna have a different interpretation of this language. Part of the problem was that this was initiated when under a previous general manager. If you read the report and reread the report, or it was fresh in your mind, we disputed things previously under a previous general manager. And so that tone of dispute was recognized by this year's grand jury for us to address or elaborate on the things that we disputed 2 years ago. So in my thinking on this document, lots of this we have already taken steps to correct. I mean, they're not asking us for like a cure and correct thing, but we have this. I think we've evolved since the beginning of this grand jury report, and that's why I felt compelled to write they gave us a continuity letter, which I addressed, which was very well received, which basically said, we are working on these things. We hear you, and we're working on them. But we did not put anything in here that was legally binding. Yeah.
Good, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Any member of the public wish to comment? Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank President Mail and you and Dawn and and staff, so I think you guys did a great job on this. I was a little surprised that the grand jury brought up, kind of lightly chastised us because we couldn't divulge anything about the PGD negotiations. I mean, that's a no-brainer. We're under a non-disclosure. I mean, we can't. And I thought you guys explained that very well, so I appreciate it. That was my biggest bugaboo on the grand jury report. Back to Director Murphy's comment, when I read through this originally, I agree with you, Barbara. I mean, I understood exactly what you meant, but looking at it again, it does. I see Murphy's point, Director Murphy's point. It seeks to enhance the staff. It sounds like we are trying to hire somebody. I don't know if we need to change it or not, but I understand what she's saying. Somebody could make that could miss that and think that we're going to go out and hire a bunch of people. Other than that, I think it's great. It's good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. And
Director Murphy does have her hand back up.
okay. Yes, go ahead.
Thanks. And thank you, Jeff, for rereading that. I appreciate that. And I wanted to also comment on what Director Kearns was saying as well. That I thought that this document, the way that you guys crafted that, it really did help explain what we can and can't divulge to the public, and that we're doing the best we can to be transparent on that. I also really appreciated that that piece of when we're talking about looking at the future of this all, that piece is not in our hands. And I thought that was covered nicely too, to put in that as we look forward on towards the future on rate changes and stuff, we really do need to understand what's happening with this PG&E acquisition in order to best serve the public as we're moving forward, to really understand where that's going before we address. There's a lot of stuff at the grand jury was asking us to address on the financial side, and I thought you guys did a really good job of kind of explaining the complexity of that. And I think that we're in a really unique time right now. We were expecting to be moving forward on something that there's now maybe up to year and a half delay on really knowing where we're at on it. And so I thought that was done well to sort of leave the just to explain that and to leave the maneuverability in there for TUD to respond however this situation goes, while taking into consideration our normal maintenance and other CIP projects and things like that. So thank you for the care that you guys did on that, and just the clarity on that. I thought that was done really well. So just wanted to add that piece in too. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Director Murphy. Appreciate that. And I want to thank staff and Jesse. He had a big hand in legally wording all of that, because you're so right. There's so much we couldn't talk about. So anyway, I think it's a good reference document. So good. Any member of the public wish to comment at this point? Okay, great. Corey, any member in our virtual audience?
Not at the moment.
All right. Well then, this is due, so.
But Director, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I'm going to say.
So is there, if there's no further discussion, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion. I make a motion authorizing the board president to sign and send the Tuolumne Utilities District response to the 2020 through 2022 grand jury report.
Great, thank you. Is there a second?
I would second that.
Thank you, Director Fulbright. Any further discussion? Okay, Melissa, will you please call for the?
Director Murphy just raised her hand.
Director, excuse me?
Director Murphy just raised her hand up.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Clarification, any chance for wordsmithing that one little part a little bit before this goes through, or is that not something that is on the table?
I think there's a multitude of interpretations and the fact that it is not binding, it was made clear to me, so I'm not interested in changing it.
And is that the general consensus there?
Well, I think the vote will make that clear.
Well, I'm asking for clarification on that because I just want to know what is possible and what isn't possible before I vote.
I could go either way on it, Lisa. I'm fine with the way it is. It could be changed. I would accept that as well. In my comments, I just wanted to make it clear that I see your point, and someone could take it as if we're going to hire a bunch of people. I don't know if they would or not, but that's my comment.
Yeah, my assumption is that as soon as we pass this, this is going to be available. I mean, it's going to be available to the public. And if I was a member of the public looking at this carefully, I'd be worried that TUD is going to spend a whole bunch of money to get a team together to do something that I don't understand. And
The public has been looking at this. This went out online, so the public did look at it. I personally think that you're reading a lot into that one sentence.
I'm just reading the sentence and I'm just
If
reading.
you're gonna hire a bunch of people, that's kind of reading into it.
It's not, it's what it states. TUD seeks to enhance its staff by acquiring an interdisciplinary team to carry out and seek funding. Means that we are acquiring means to hire. An interdisciplinary team would mean multiple people to carry out and seek funding for these opportunities in a meaningful way. And if that's what we're doing, then that sentence makes sense. But if what we're doing is trying to collaborate with other things that already exist and have better communication within our staff, that would be written differently.
All right, the way it's written is the fact that we have a new general manager, the fact that the way
That's not what the acquiring piece, acquiring an interdisciplinary team is the wording that I'm specifically looking at. And we've already done things, but this is talking in the future. And so I think we've done a lot of stuff to, in reading the original grand jury report and reading the original response that the GM at the time, Patterson, put forward, I understand the need for a new letter to the grand jury, because I am in agreement that this letter is a good, respectful response to the grand jury, and it states our intent. It states everything that we are trying to be in alignment with the grand jury report here. And I understand that it's not a legally binding document, but it is stating our intents. And I think that I want to know if there's a possibility of being a little clearer in that statement, or if this just needs to be done right now. And that's the clarification I'm asking. I'm not asking for an argument against what I've already talked about. I'm just asking, is there an opportunity to change this, or does this need to be passed today? And this is just how one little sentence in a 9-page thing is not going to hold up the process. That's the question I have.
needs to be passed today.
Okay, that's what I was asking.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
Would it be, how would everybody feel if we change the last sentence on F3.3, top of page 10? TUD will seek funding for these opportunities in the future in a meaningful way. Cut out that part about enhancing staff, acquiring a disciplinary team.
I think that also locks us into, I think it's close, but I think that will seek is different than, we have the intention to look for opportunities, which I think is more accurate to what we're going to try to do, and trying to have that collaborative.
So what change would you make, Lisa?
That is a good question. So
How about TUD could seek?
I think-
funding for these opportunities in the future in a meaningful way.
Or
I think acquiring is the problem.
Go ahead, first, Dawn and then, Ron.
Abby hasn't suggested possible changes. I don't think change the intent at all, maybe.
Fabulous, thank you.
What about, just want to make sure. So TUD seeks,
Hang on, your Abby, we'll get your undivided.
yeah, no
Sorry.
problem, I
Okay.
just thought it would
Go
be
for it.
helpful that, okay. TUD seeks to use an interdisciplinary approach to carry out and seek funding for these opportunities in a meaningful way.
Perfect. Yes, love it.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, that sounds
That sounded
great.
like what I think you
Mhm.
represented,
Yeah,
President Balin?
yeah. And, Ron?
Well, I was just gonna say, that we got a motion and a second, but, if you will allow me, I'll amend my motion to include what Abby
Abby's
has. And then, I can't remember who made the second, but,
I would second you.
okay, you did, okay. So,
Sounds good with that language.
yeah.
Okay. All
Great,
right,
thank you, Abby, that was perfect.
okay. Without further discussion, please call for the vote.
Okay, Director Balin,
Aye.
Director Boatright.
Aye.
Director Kearns,
Aye.
Director Murphy,
Aye.
Director Ringen.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes 5-0.
Okay, staff reports.
Okay, I'll go first. So on July 28th, I attended Columbia County Water Policy Advisory Committee meeting. And in a nutshell, that group, I'm included, we're really kind of struggling to find our way. What is our purpose there with that committee? And eventually, before the next meeting, they meet quarterly. And before the next meeting comes, President Mayor, I'd like to meet with you and I think it's Jaren and Director Half. And we put our heads together to find out what the true purpose of this committee is. Because we're meeting and not really having much of a purpose. I don't mean that in a disparaging way, it just is what it is. On 8/3, I attended the Tuolumne County Natural Resources Committee. I took Eric Hall and Glenn Nunley with me, which that's gonna probably, and that they meet monthly. It's a pretty good meeting. Last week, we talked about and learned about the barned owl, which I hadn't heard of a barned owl before, and how they are impeding on the spotted owl's habitat. So, and then they're looking for recommendations on a management strategy, which I won't be commenting on because I didn't know the bird existed. Also on 8/3, there was a monthly OES operational area briefing that Eric attends all the time. I attend occasionally when I have an opportunity. On the 9th, the Tuolumne County Board of Supervisors yesterday, they had a 1 of 2 day workshop. They're drafting their governmental manual, which is similar to your board policy manual, although yours is 12 pages and it's 54 pages. So that's it. It was yesterday and today. If I get out of here a decent time, which I will, I'll probably go attend because I find it very interesting. It's being facilitated by a guy by the name of Robert Bendorf, and I'm going to get his contact information and see what service he might provide us later. Tomorrow, I'm going to attend the Twin Arc CSD meeting. I'm going to present the Twin Arc wastewater treatment plant improvements. Just sort of open the lines of communication. Nothing formal right now, but a possible cost share on those improvements. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Question. Is the Twin Arc wastewater treatment plant improvements, have you got a plan?
The designs isn't complete. No, that's what you mean. They're not complete.
Any other reports from staff? Abby, go ahead.
I'll go. Eric Johnson, that last meeting, let your board know that the paving on the lane we installed water main on Phoenix Lake Road would be paved starting this week, so that is underway. And it's just been, we originally thought it would be done by the end of the week, but it will be done by the end of next week, so just wanted to provide that update to the public. They've also got it on My Mother Lode and on our website and Facebook, but since it's a well-traveled road, there's a lot of interest there on what's going on, so I thought I'd share that with the board. Thank you.
Thank you. So, you good, Eric?
Don covered it.
Great. All right, and we'll move to director's reports. Anything to report?
Yeah, I'll jump in there. August 3rd, seen an email for the LAFCO meeting. Went to open it up yesterday and found that on August 4th, the meeting got canceled. So, or August 5th.
None of my committees have met.
But it's also.
I didn't realize you were done, I apologize. None of my committees have met, so I have nothing to report.
Okay, thank you. Director Reed?
Okay. I want to start out first with what I was going to possibly say when we were going through that grand jury. In there, they kind of were poking the finger at us because we get so many grants. And I couldn't understand that. And so I think we have not only an opportunity, but an obligation to start some sort of education program to let the public know how much these grants keep the ratepayers' rates as low as possible, and how we do projects that we would never be able to afford if we were doing it just with the ratepayers' money that comes in every 2 months. So anyway, just a thought, just a suggestion. On 7/28, attended, participated in the Tuolumne County Water Policy Advisory Committee meeting. Don just told you about that. 8/3, attended and participated in the Tuolumne County Natural Resource Committee meeting. Don told you about that. And then on 8/4, attended and participated in the EN2 update meeting for the ditch committee and staff on project progress. So anyway, a lot of stuff, good stuff going on.
Thank you. That's it? Okay. Okay, so last Thursday and Friday, I attended Mountain County's executive board meeting, and it's a 9-member board up in Yuba. So we had the workshop, which was a strategic planning workshop with our new executive director. And I've been to these before, and I thought, okay, we're gonna go through our mission, vision, values. But I was amazed at the opportunity it gave the board to discuss what we want mountain counties to look like in the future. So that was just absolutely amazing to me. And we spent a long time on the board's key priorities and what are they. And I don't think this board has ever, we as a group haven't, and staff and general manager looked at what our key priorities are. And we spent a lot of time on where we've come from and where we're going, and how the whole state is becoming more of a integrated approach to managing state resources. So water being part of nature, nature-based solutions is an executive order. I mean, people are starting to look at the ecological services that our environment is doing, and how can that help offset or how can that work with us to protect our water resources, whether it's above ground or underground or whatever. And of course, mountain counties, we're looking at, it's not just water impoundment anymore, with the evaporation and the hotter summers and climate adaptation. That may not be the solution is in water impoundment, raising reservoirs, it may be desal. And so we looked at really rethinking what our key priorities were, how we were going to protect water rights. Is it through hoarding or is it through sharing and networking? Is that the way we protect them on behalf of all the states? So it was a really, really great exercise. Again, I want to stress the interdisciplinary and the integrated approaches to ecosystem habitat. Who would have thought that was part of our mission? It's everybody's mission, fish is on everybody's mind. And so that was just it was an amazing work that was done. It's a really amazing board of 9 electeds. So I'm now part of the core group that's going to volunteer to put a lot of this together. So I'm excited about it, and just want to remind the board here that I believe our review of our strategic plan is going to be on the next, the 2nd August, correct? That will come.
A progress report.
So it'll be a progress report, okay? So at some point, I think it would be good to have this board go through a strategic planning exercise. Boards don't just change, they evolve. They evolve with the times, they evolve where the money's coming from, et cetera. So then I just want to make an announcement on Mountain County's is hosting in our backyard at Murphy's October 20th and 21st. It's a joint meeting with Association of California Water Agencies with Aqua, so it's Mountain County Aqua. A panel discussion right there in Murphy's, and it's called Wine, Wildfire, and Water. So kind of sounds like a rock band. But we're in Murphy's, so of course we have to, do that, do the wine thing. So anyway, October 20th and 21st is a Thursday and Friday, and I would really encourage everybody to show up and participate. It's kind of an opportunity to have mountain counties and Aqua in our backyard. Region 3 Aqua board is very dynamic, and those guys are a bunch of mover and shakers. And you can talk with them and talk about their revenue streams, talk about how they serve the public. So I think it's always good, and nobody's violating the Brown Act when you go talk to other board members outside their own group. So that's all I have to report. And any other sharing? Yes? Oh yes, Director Murphy.
Yeah, so I have a unique opportunity right now that I am learning a lot about another water district that has both the raw water and the, they call it here culinary water. And last night I was out from 1 to 4 in the morning doing irrigation water and turning valves and moving PVC pipes and stuff like that. And they're here, I'm in Hurricane, Utah, and here they have converted some of their system over to pressurize some of their raw water system. Their water comes from the Virgin River. They've converted some of their raw water system over to pressurized pipe, and they have some of it that is still in the open ditch system. So it's an interesting thing to see how they have, and I have a friend on the planning commission up here, and so we've been talking about that and other people who use the raw water system. So it's been an interesting education on how they're trying to do that. This area is very arid, so it's different than we have a lot more humidity in our daily experience in our district than they do up here. But it's interesting to just see, as President Braylon was saying, just to see what other as we're moving forward, just to keep those conversations going, even out of our state, of what people are finding as solutions as we're moving through these drought periods, and we're moving through more intense heat situations and things like that, just to see how things are playing out, and what are the things that are the difficulties that they encounter as they're, it's been interesting to hear about the benefits and the difficulties that they've had in converting some of the system over to pressurized. And then talking to folks who are on the irrigation system that's still open ditch, and just hearing what they would have to do to convert their places to accommodate a pressurized system and how that would work differently. So it's been a good education up here in the last couple of days, and in the middle of the night last night. So very interesting stuff that I think, helps me to just have a broader understanding. So.
Great. Okay, well, if there's no further business then,